Commander Zevkol leaned back in his observation chair, his four eyes rolling in perfect synchronization. The monitoring station overlooked the Galactic Military Academy's training facility, where dozens of species prepared for combat certification. Today's entertainment? Watching humans attempt something they called endurance training. "Look at them," he muttered to his aide, Lieutenant Crix Tal. "Ink, squishy, no natural armor whatsoever. They lose half their body heat through that ridiculous fur on their heads, and yet they think they can compete with Vraxian battlehounds or Thickmore shock troops." Crix Tal's mandibles clicked in amusement. "Sir, the human instructor just announced something called sleep deprivation training. Apparently, they're going to see who can stay awake the longest while completing tactical exercises." "Sleep deprivation?" Zevkol's voice cracked with disbelief. "They're going to voluntarily impair their cognitive functions? For training purposes. That's not tactical preparation, that's voluntary brain damage." The holographic display showed 23 cadets from various species gathering in the main training hall. Most were the usual suspects, heavily armored Gornaki, multi-limbed Zephyrians, and a few cybernetically enhanced Nexari. Then there was the human contingent. 5 soft-looking bipeds who looked like they'd been assembled from spare parts. Sir Crix Tal continued, consulting his datapad. "The final challenge involves something called a Warbeast encounter. Apparently, whoever lasts the longest gets to face a genuine Korathian Warbeast. Alone. With standard-issue equipment only." Zevkol's laugh was a harsh, grinding sound. "A Warbeast? Those things are 3 meters tall, weigh 400 kilograms, and can tear through reinforced hull plating with their claws. The Academy must have lost their collective minds. They're going to get these cadets killed. The betting pool is already active, sir. Current odds on any human surviving past day 3 are, well, let's just say they're not favorable." "I should hope not," Zevkol snorted. "Put me down for 50 credits. I say the humans drop out before day 2. This is going to be more entertaining than I thought." He settled in to watch the show, completely unaware that he was about to witness something that would haunt his nightmares for cycles to come. Day 1 started exactly as Zevkol expected. The Gornaki cadets, built like walking tanks, strutted around the training ground with their usual arrogance. The Zephyrians used their multiple arms to multitask through exercises. And the humans? Well, they just stood there, looking tired already. "Sir, the human designated Maya Vren just consumed something called coffee," Crix Tal reported, his tone suggesting he'd witnessed a bizarre ritual. "She claims it's a performance enhancer. It appears to be burnt plant matter mixed with hot water." Zevkol squinted at the display. Maya Vren looked unremarkable, even by human standards. Average height, brown hair that defied gravity in several directions, and the kind of expression that suggested she was perpetually annoyed by everything around her. 50 credits says she's down by hour 12, announced Sergeant Vexnari from the weapons station. "I'll take that bet and raise it," Zevkol replied. "She'll be unconscious by hour 8. Look at her. She's already stumbling through the obstacle course." What they didn't realize was that Maya wasn't stumbling. She was calculating. Every seemingly clumsy move was actually her testing the equipment, memorizing distances, and figuring out the most efficient paths through each exercise. By day 2, the first casualties started dropping. 3 Gornaki cadets collapsed during combat simulations, their heavy armor becoming a liability when exhaustion set in. 2 Zephyrians tangled their own limbs trying to operate on reduced coordination. The Nexari, despite their cybernetic enhancements, began experiencing system errors when their organic brains couldn't keep up with their artificial components. Maya? She was doing jumping jacks at 3 in the morning, while humming something the translation software couldn't identify. Sir Crix Tal's voice carried a note of confusion. The human appears to be talking to herself. She's having entire conversations with invisible entities. Zevkol watched in fascination as Maya gestured wildly during her solo tactical briefing. She's lost her mind. Excellent. This should be over soon. But day 3 brought disturbing developments. While alien cadets continued dropping like meteorites, Maya had somehow convinced her exhausted brain that everything was a game. She turned weapons maintenance into a singing contest, treated navigation exercises like dance routines, and approached combat drills with the enthusiasm of someone who'd forgotten they were supposed to be tired. "She's broken," Vexnari whispered. "Her brain has actually broken, and somehow that's making her more effective." "Impossible," Zeph Cole muttered, but his confidence was cracking like old armor plating. The human was now the only cadet still standing, and she was organizing her gear while doing what appeared to be some sort of rhythmic movement exercise. "Sir, she's asking if anyone wants to arm wrestle." Zeph Cole's eye twitched. This was not going according to plan. By day 4, the monitoring station had gained some unwanted visitors. Word had spread through the academy that a human was not only surviving sleep deprivation training but actually thriving in it. Representatives from 6 different species had crowded into Zeph Cole's observation deck, and none of them looked particularly pleased. "Commander," growled Ambassador Thekmore, his rocky carapace grinding with agitation, "explain to me how your soft little humans are outperforming my shock troops." Zeph Cole didn't have an answer. Maya had just completed a tactical simulation in record time, beating scores set by fully rested cadets. The problem wasn't that she was tired, the problem was that she was thinking completely differently than anyone else. "Sir," Crix Tal whispered, "she's approaching the marksmanship range. The instructor is offering her a standard plasma rifle." They watched as Maya hefted the weapon, examined it for exactly 3 seconds, then proceeded to disassemble it completely. The alien cadets observing her looked horrified. "What is she doing?" Ambassador Vexnari demanded. "I believe," Zeph Cole said slowly, "she's modifying the weapon. Look, she's rerouting the power coupling and adjusting the barrel harmonics. How does she even know how to do that?" Maya reassembled the rifle in under 30 seconds, took aim at the target range, and proceeded to hit bullseyes with shots that should have been impossible given the weapon's original specifications. The other cadets were staring at her like she'd just performed actual magic. Day 4 observation log, Crix Tal muttered into his recorder. "Human subject appears to have enhanced cognitive function under extreme fatigue. Recommend immediate psychological evaluation." "Belay that," Zeph Cole snapped. "Let's see how long this lasts." Day 5 brought the incident that would later be known as the sparring disaster. Maya had been matched against a Gornaki warrior for hand-to-hand combat training. Standard procedure, really. The Gornaki had natural armor, stood twice her height, and possessed strength that could crush steel. Maya won in 47 seconds. "How?" Ambassador Thekmore's voice cracked through the speaker system. "Rokathul has been fighting for 15 cycles. He's never lost a sparring match. She used his weight against him," Zeph Cole said, reviewing the footage in slow motion. "When he charged, she somehow redirected his momentum, and I don't understand what I'm looking at. Did she just use physics as a weapon?" "Sir, the human is now teaching other cadets her technique. The Gornaki are taking notes." By day 6, Maya had become something of a celebrity. Cadets from other species were actively seeking her out for training advice. She'd reorganized the entire mess hall's serving system to be more efficient, redesigned the obstacle course to be more challenging, and somehow talked the quartermaster into giving everyone better boots. "She's not just surviving," Vexnari observed with growing alarm. "She's improving everything she touches." "How is exhaustion making her more effective?" "Maybe," Crix Tal suggested quietly. "Exhaustion isn't affecting her the way it affects us. Maybe humans are just different." The observation deck fell silent. In the training yard below, Maya was leading a group of mixed-species cadets through what appeared to be a coordination exercise that had them all laughing. Actually laughing. During military training. "Sir," Crix Tal's voice was barely above a whisper, "Command is asking when we're going to release the Warbeast." Zeph Cole stared at the human who was currently balancing on one foot while explaining battlefield tactics to a group of fascinated aliens. His confidence had completely evaporated. "Not yet," he muttered. I need to understand what we're dealing with first. Day 7 dawned with an uncomfortable reality. Maya Vren was the only cadet left standing. The observation deck now resembled a war council, with high-ranking officials from 12 different species crowded around the monitoring equipment. The atmosphere was tense enough to cut with a ceremonial blade. "This is unacceptable," declared High Admiral QX Terra, her crystalline features reflecting the harsh light of the displays. 7 days. A human has lasted 7 days. My own species' record is 4 days, and we're amphibious. We don't even need continuous sleep. Zefkol found himself in the uncomfortable position of defending something he didn't understand. "Admiral, the human is clearly operating outside normal parameters. Perhaps we should study." "No." The voice belonged to General Krex Moth, whose scarred exoskeleton marked him as a veteran of the Outer Rim campaigns. "Release the Warbeast? Now. We end this embarrassment today?" "Sir," Krix Tal interjected nervously, "the Warbeast protocol specifically states that it should only be used after the standard 8-day period. The human still has." "The human," Krexmoth interrupted, "has made fools of us all. Release the beast." Down in the training yard, Maya was doing something that looked like a combination of stretching and interpretive dance. She'd been awake for 168 hours straight, and she was humming. "Bring up the Warbeast specifications," QX Tara commanded. The holographic display materialized a 3-dimensional model of absolute nightmare fuel. The Korathian Warbeast stood 3 meters tall at the shoulder, its 6 legs ending in claws that could tear through starship hulls. Its hide was naturally armored with bone plates that could deflect military-grade plasma fire. 2 sets of jaws, each filled with teeth the size of combat knives, could snap a small vehicle in half. Bite force equivalent to 12,000 pounds per square inch. Krix Tal read from the specifications. Top speed of 80 kilometers per hour. Electromagnetic sensory organs can detect heartbeats from half a kilometer away. Regenerative healing factor. Oh, and it's been starved for 3 days to increase aggression. Perfect, Krexmoth growled. "What equipment does the human get?" "Standard survival kit," Zefkol replied. 1 combat knife, basic rations, water purification tablets, and a distress beacon. No armor, no ranged weapons, no communication devices. The assembled officials exchanged satisfied looks. This was more like it. No more embarrassing displays of human whatever this was. A proper test of combat capability against a creature that had been specifically designed to kill things much larger and more dangerous than humans. Sir Krix Tal whispered, "Are we certain this is ethical? The human has been awake for 7 days. Her reaction time must be compromised." "Exactly," QX Terra smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "Finally, a level playing field. Release the beast." Below, Maya had finished her stretching routine and was now examining her fingernails with the kind of intense focus usually reserved for studying star charts. She looked completely oblivious to the fact that her death was being prepared in the containment levels below. "This should be over quickly," Krexmoth announced to the room. "I give her 10 minutes. "I say 5, QX Terra countered. Zefkol said nothing, but his unease was growing by the moment. The containment doors opened with a hydraulic hiss that echoed across the training ground. What emerged was 3 meters of pure, concentrated violence. The Korathian Warbeast's 6 legs carried it forward with fluid grace, each step leaving claw marks in the reinforced flooring. Its twin sets of jaws opened in a roar that rattled the observation deck's windows. Maya looked up from her fingernails, blinked twice, and said something that the translation software rendered as, "Oh. Hello there, big guy." Is she greeting it? Ambassador Thekmore asked incredulously. Does she not understand what's happening? The Warbeast's electromagnetic sensors locked onto Maya's heartbeat, and the creature's head swiveled toward her with predatory focus. It began stalking forward, each step deliberate and menacing. Maya tilted her head, studying the approaching death machine like it was an interesting puzzle. Then she did something that made every observer's blood run cold. She waved. That's it, QX Terra muttered. She's completely lost her mind. Sir, Crixtal reported, the human is she taking off her boots? Maya had indeed removed her footwear and was now testing the ground with her bare toes. And the warbeast, clearly confused by this unexpected behavior, paused its advance. She's assessing terrain conditions, Zeph Cole realized. She's turning this into a tactical situation. The beast resumed its approach, and Maya finally moved. But instead of running away, she moved toward the creature. Not directly, but in a lazy spiral that kept her just outside its immediate strike range. What is she doing? Crexmoth demanded. I think, Zeph Cole said slowly, she's making herself a more interesting target. The warbeast lunged with blinding speed, its primary jaws snapping shut where Maya had been standing a fraction of a second before. She'd rolled sideways, coming up in a crouch with her combat knife in hand. But she wasn't holding it like a weapon. She was holding it like a tool. Did she just use the knife to test the creature's reaction time? Bexnari asked. Maya had indeed used the blade to reflect sunlight into the beast's eyes, measuring how quickly it responded to the distraction. The creature shook its massive head, clearly annoyed, and charged again. This time Maya didn't dodge. She dropped flat to the ground, and the warbeast's momentum carried it right over her. As it passed, she reached up with her knife and did something that made the entire observation deck gasp. She tickled it. She what? Crexmoth's voice cracked. She found a nerve cluster, Zeph Cole breathed, between the armor plates. She's mapping its anatomy. The warbeast spun around, even more confused. This tiny creature wasn't behaving like prey. It wasn't running, it wasn't screaming, and it definitely wasn't fighting in any recognizable way. It was studying. Maya began what could only be described as the galaxy's most dangerous game of tag. She'd dart in, poke the creature with her knife in a specific spot, then dance away before it could retaliate. Each poke was precise, calculated, and completely baffling to the beast. She's treating it like a research subject, QX Terra observed with growing horror. Sir, Crixtal whispered, I think she's learning how it moves. Look at her positioning. Maya had indeed been memorizing the creature's movement patterns. After 20 minutes of this bizarre dance, she'd mapped every joint, every muscle group, every vulnerable spot. The warbeast was getting increasingly frustrated, its attacks becoming more erratic. She's making it angry on purpose, Zeph Cole realized. She's disrupting its hunting patterns. The knife in Maya's hand had somehow become a multi-tool. She'd used it to test reflexes, map anatomy, reflect light, and even once to clean dirt from under her fingernails while dodging a particularly aggressive swipe. The creature was now actively trying to corner her, but Maya seemed to know exactly where it was going to be before it got there. This is impossible, Crexmoth muttered. The beast is a perfect predator. It should have killed her in the first minute. Perfect predators, Maya called out, somehow having heard him through the observation deck speakers, are only perfect against predictable prey. She performed what looked like a pirouette to avoid the creature's claws. I haven't been predictable in about 4 days. The warbeast gathered itself for what was clearly meant to be a final, decisive strike. Every muscle in its massive frame tensed, and it launched itself at Maya with enough force to punch through armor plating. Maya smiled. Oh no, Zeph Cole whispered. She's been waiting for this. The beast was committed to its attack, all 6 legs extended, both sets of jaws open wide. It was a perfect killing machine in full assault mode, and Maya had been counting on exactly that. What happened next would be replayed in military academies across the galaxy for the next 50 years, though most instructors would preface it with the disclaimer that this should never be attempted by anyone with functioning survival instincts. As the warbeast hurtled toward her with lethal intent, Maya did something that defied every principle of combat training ever developed. She ran directly at it. She's lost her mind, Crexmoth breathed. But Maya hadn't lost her mind. She'd found something better than sanity. She'd found leverage. At the last possible second, she dropped into a slide that carried her directly between the creature's front legs. The Warbeast, committed to its aerial assault, couldn't adjust its trajectory. Maya's knife flashed upward, not to strike a killing blow, but to cut through a specific tendon she'd identified during her research phase. The creature's left front leg buckled instantly. She severed the primary support ligament, Zeph Cole whispered in amazement. She knew exactly where to cut. The Warbeast's momentum carried it forward, but now it was off balance. It crashed into the ground with enough force to shake the observation deck, sending up a cloud of dust and debris. Maya rolled out from under the creature, somehow ending up on its back. "What is she doing now?" QX Terra demanded. Maya had positioned herself behind the creature's head, where its twin sets of jaws couldn't reach her. She was holding her knife like a stylus, and she was writing? "She's carving something into its skull plate," Krixtal reported, his voice hollow with disbelief. The Warbeast thrashed violently, trying to dislodge the small human who had somehow made herself unreachable. Maya rode the bucking creature like she was enjoying herself, occasionally pausing in her carving to pat its head reassuringly. "There we go," she said, her voice carrying clearly through the speakers. "Just hold still for a moment." The knife found a gap between armor plates at the base of the creature's skull. Not a killing strike, but a precise cut that severed the nerve cluster controlling the beast's rear legs. The creature's hindquarters went limp instantly. "She's systematically disabling it," Zeph Cole realized with growing horror. "She's not trying to kill it. She's taking it apart." Maya slid off the now immobilized creature and walked around to face its head. The Warbeast's eyes tracked her movement, intelligence and confusion warring in its gaze. "Hey there," Maya said conversationally, crouching down to meet the creature's eyes. "That was fun. You're actually really well designed, you know that? Excellent muscle distribution, fantastic sensory array, and those electromagnetic organs are brilliant. Whoever engineered you did good work." The observation deck had gone completely silent. Even the air recycling system seemed to have stopped working. Maya reached out and gently scratched behind one of the creature's auditory organs. The Warbeast, perhaps more confused than it had ever been in its existence, made a sound that was almost like purring. "The human is petting it," Vexnari whispered. "She's what?" Krex Moth's voice cracked completely. Maya stood up, brushed dust off her uniform, and looked directly at the observation deck. "So did I pass the test? Because I've been awake for 192 hours straight, and I'm really looking forward to a nap." The silence stretched for a full 30 seconds. Then QX Terra asked the question that was on everyone's mind: "What did you carve into its skull?" Maya's grin was visible even from the observation deck. "My name. And a little heart. I figured if I was going to be the first cadet to survive a Warbeast encounter, I should probably sign my work." The implications of that statement hit the alien observers like a plasma torpedo to the brain. Maya Vren fell asleep standing up. One moment she was grinning at the observation deck, the next she was swaying gently like a tree in a breeze. Then she simply folded, landing in a comfortable heap next to the still immobilized Warbeast, which had somehow managed to position itself as a makeshift pillow. She's using it as a bed," Krixtal whispered. Within seconds, gentle snoring echoed through the training ground speakers. The sound was so peaceful, so utterly normal, that it made everything that had just happened seem like a shared hallucination. "Emergency medical to the training ground," Zeph Cole commanded, finally remembering his duties. Full biological workup on both the human and the Warbeast. The medical team arrived to find Maya sleeping so deeply that she didn't even twitch when they lifted her onto a transport stretcher. The Warbeast, meanwhile, had somehow managed to curl its massive form around her sleeping spot, like a guard dog protecting its master. "Sir?" The chief medic reported an hour later. "The human's vitals are perfect. Better than perfect, actually. Her stress hormones are at baseline, her muscle tone has improved, and her neurological activity suggests enhanced cognitive function. It's as if the sleep deprivation somehow optimized her biology." And the Warbeast? Completely unharmed. The nerve cuts were surgical in precision, designed to disable without permanent damage. The creature will be fully functional within 6 hours. Also, sir, it appears to have bonded with the human. It's been whimpering since we separated them. The observation deck had slowly emptied as various ambassadors and officials fled to file reports with their respective governments. Only Zeph Cole and Crix Tal remained, staring at the now empty training ground. Sir, Crix Tal said quietly, I need to ask. Did we just witness a human break every known principle of combat biology, tactical doctrine, and predator-prey relationships? Yes, Zeph Cole replied. Yes, we did. And she did it while functionally brain damaged from sleep deprivation? That's the terrifying part, Zeph Cole muttered. I don't think she was impaired. I think she was enhanced. Like her brain found a different way to operate when pushed to its limits. The communication console chimed with an incoming priority message from High Command. Zeph Cole accepted the call, and the holographic form of Admiral QX Knoll materialized, his expression grim. Commander, I need your report on the human training incident. And I need it to make sense, because what I'm hearing from the other observers sounds like complete fiction. Zeph Cole took a deep breath. Sir, I regret to inform you that everything you've heard is probably accurate. The human designated Maya Vren successfully completed 8 days of sleep deprivation training, defeated a Korathian warbeast in single combat using only a knife, and then used said warbeast as a pillow. That's impossible. Sir, with respect, impossible is a word we might want to retire when discussing humans. They appear to have a different relationship with impossibility than the rest of us. Explain. Admiral, we've been operating under the assumption that humans are weak because they lack natural armor, have limited sensory organs, and require regular sleep. But what if those aren't weaknesses? What if they're features? Features? Sir, a species that can adapt to any environment, improvise solutions to any problem, and apparently optimize their performance under extreme stress isn't weak. They're terrifyingly flexible. The Admiral was quiet for a long moment. Commander, I want you to draft new protocols for human interaction. And I want them to include a warning label. What kind of warning, sir? Caution. Contents may exceed expectations. And Zeph Cole? Next time someone suggests putting a human in an impossible situation to prove a point, maybe we should consider that they might actually succeed. The transmission ended, leaving Zeph Cole alone with his thoughts and the uncomfortable realization that the galaxy had just become a much more interesting place.